Today is our Mission Report Sunday, and we've done two mission trips this year. We went to Bow, Washington at the end of June. Uh, we usually call it the Seattle trip because we fly in and out of Seattle, but we don't really stay in Seattle. We go a couple hours, an hour or two north of Seattle to a place that's a lot different than Seattle in the country up there in northern Washington, and we help this cowboy church that has several different ministries on their campus there with helping children, helping uh, planting churches in other parts of the state, and lots of different things. And so we help them with different things, and we'll talk about how that trip evolved as we planned it later on. The other trip that we had, it was in mid-July. It's in Chinalo in the mountains of southern Mexico. We always just call that the Mexico mission trip, and so those are our two trips, and all of our church was part of both of these trips. We had a rummage sale last spring that many of you contributed to, many of you shopped at, many of you donated above and beyond the cost of the items so that we could raise money to help people go on these mission trips, and that was extremely helpful for those of us who did go. And we had at least three of us, of the people, had significant contributions from people who donated money and flights and things like that to help people go that wouldn't have been able to go otherwise. And so that was a great help. And of course, the prayers that you guys, I know you were faithful to pray as we went and as we ministered in those places. I'm going to read from Romans chapter 10. Starting in verse 12, there's no difference between Jew and Gentile. The same Lord is Lord of all and richly blesses all who call on Him. For everyone who calls in the name of the Lord will be saved. How then can they call on the one they have not believed in? And how can they believe in the one in whom they have not heard? And how can they hear without someone preaching to them? And how can they preach unless they are sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news. So I want to thank you wherever you were in that spectrum there, whether you were the one who's going, the one who's sending. I want to thank you for being a part of the mission trips that we did this summer. One thing about mission trips is you never know the impact. So little is visible in the short term, and even if what is visible in the short term may not indicate the long-term impact. I've been on a mission trip. I was just telling my BFG about a mission trip I took to England back in 2003, where it seemed like hundreds of teens responded to the invitation. And I've worked for years when we were in an Arkansas church, ministering year after year in this small village in Alaska, and there was just just less than a handful of kids that we knew received Christ out of those that we ministered to, but which ultimately had greater impact. We don't know. We ultimately don't know if those 2 kids, 2 or 3, 4 kids that we reached in Alaska will ultimately have greater impact than the 150 kids who went down and had their names recorded on a card in England in 2003. We don't know. Of course, there's a reason why we prefer long-term partnerships, like the relationships we've built with Mexico Outreach and the village there. You can see by going back year after year after year some of the things God has done through our consistent efforts as we partner with other people. But after 1 week, one of the things you want to do when you come back from a mission trip is say, well, 45 people were saved. You don't know. You don't know what the impact is of 1 week. But what it is, it's an offering to God. We offer our efforts to God, and then God takes our efforts, and beyond our sight and beyond our control, He multiplies it. And Jesus talked about that way the kingdom of God works, like yeast working its way through dough. We don't see the yeast multiplying, and we can't control it. It just happens. And before long, it has transformed everything. So why do we go on mission trips? In our church, we have a discipleship vision and a plan that guides the ministries we offer and what we do. We talk about it every year a little bit during the time when we take our annual assessments in January. But I want to highlight the acorns this morning. I want us to look at those and just take a moment to think about these. These 9 experiences are important first steps to know that we are growing in each of the four directions, in a balanced way, that we're not just learning about the Bible or not just doing fellowship or just one thing and growing in one area, but we're trying to grow in all the areas that God has called us to grow in as we grow up in Christ. And so we've identified these acorns as things that everyone should do at least once. Meaning that everyone, that means each of us, should be looking at these acorns and recognizing the things that we have done and we haven't done yet. And thinking, even you should be challenged to do each one of these things. At least once. Some of these things you do over and over. Go on a retreat. Where we just have, with our slide is up there. We're going to start talking about the women's retreat. We encourage you to go to the women's retreat every year. The men's weekend is coming up next month. We encourage you to do that every year. Go on a retreat. But some of these things are you could say, well, I've done them once and I don't necessarily need to do them again. I've already taken that course or whatever. But some of these you could take over and over again. But if you look at this list and you say, well, I've never done this or never done that, you should look for the next opportunity and really consider whether God is calling you to take that step. This fall, we're going to be offering opportunities for basics under repentance, the basics of Christian life. We're going to be doing our spiritual disciplines acorn under freedom. We're going to be doing our share training acorn in November. And also a sort of spiritual disciplines 201. If you've already taken one spiritual disciplines course, there's a course that we're doing in September and October that's going to kind of be an expansion of those things as well. And of course the 2 retreats. So these are chances to take steps forward, to start to take these steps of obedience that we encourage you to do. But why is the mission trip one of the acorns? Why is that one of the things that we encourage you to do every year, at least once in your life? It's under the mission quadrant. It helps us to grow in that mission aspect of our lives. And one of the mission skills that we've identified under that mission, growing in mission, is faith-filled risk-taking. I think faith-filled risk-taking is probably the thing that a mission trip targets the most. Because whatever the mission entails, it pushes you past your normal everyday to participate in faith in what God is doing somewhere else in the world. It makes you have to release control because it never happens the way you plan. When you go on a mission trip, it's almost a joke when we plan because it's like, it's not going to go that way. We're going to do it. We need to have a plan, but we also need to have a plan that it's not going to go the way that we planned. And be okay with that. That's faith-filled risk-taking. And so this year, 3 of our team to Seattle were on their first mission trips ever. They took that step of faith. They took that first step of faith that they had never taken before and went on a mission trip. One of them was Katie Passay, who became a believer. And you remember she was baptized earlier this spring. And I'm going to share with her story as we get started.
I had a call from Carolyn, and she said somebody dropped out and asked me if I could go so that Susanna could go. And I prayed about it. And within 5 minutes, I happened to look on Facebook, and there was a picture of Seattle from before when I was there. And the caption on it said, "Go, try it now." And I was like, if that's not a sign to go, then who else am I going to listen to? So that's why I went. And I'm so glad I did. The views were amazing. The companionship was incredible. Making new, long-lasting friends. Meeting people up there that I didn't expect, to form friendships with and have phone numbers from them and all that. That was really great. So I had an experience on the mountain. I fell. I really, really hurt my leg. And I kept trying to get up the mountain. And finally I said, I'm not going to make it to the top, and that's fine. So here I am on this absolutely gorgeous mountain, this beautiful view in front of me. And God kind of said, look what I've done. God reminded me that 2 years ago, I was on bed rest and couldn't walk because I had a back injury that was so bad. I lost my mom during that time, ended up having 2 back surgeries. I was in an absolutely miserable place. And then he said, look what I've done since you came to me. I got saved. And it's like everything in my life just changed. Doesn't mean that things aren't hard and that I don't have struggles that are still happening. But it's just so much easier knowing that I've got Jesus with me. It's reminded me that I have to keep trusting in Him no matter what mountains I'm climbing. I was called.
So we went to Washington. We flew into Seattle, and we went to this cowboy church there. And the cowboy church is a place where where Roy Swihart and his wife live, and they have many adopted children that they raise on this ranch, and they take in kids and they run this ranch with and this cowboy church as well as this pretty big business, construction business that he runs as well. And through that they plant churches, and they do all sorts of different ministry. They raise up leaders, and it's a really neat addiction ministry. They do this kind of thing. They do lots of different ministries. And so when we come, it's kind of like they've got a lot of irons in the fire. I'll just say that, And so what we go up there, and we talked to them about what we were going to do, and they said, well, what we're trying to do is we're trying to convert our barn, because we don't do the horse ministry anymore on campus. So we want to convert the barn so we have a bigger home, bigger place for our school and our children's ministry and things like that. And so our orphan ministry and these kind of things. So they were going to convert their barn. And so first we were going to help with them construction with the barn. And so then I call about 3 weeks ahead of time, and I said, okay, we're ready to come. What do we need to bring? What exactly are we going to be doing? Are we bring any tools? And he says, well, you know what? We're not ready to start building yet, so we're going to have you clean out the barn. And so we're like, all right, well, we'll come clean out the barn. That's cool. We'll help you with that. And then we're getting picked up from the airport, and he's like, well, what we really need you to help with is the 4th of July thing that's coming up this Saturday. And so we're like, okay, well, we'll do that then. And so that's what we ended up doing. The first day we went canvassing. They told us to go to the different coffee stops around the area, and the little towns around the area, and some other places, and just trying to hand out the flyer to this 4th of July outreach that they were having, which is a huge event. It was a tremendous amount of fireworks, a tremendous band, lots of food. It was a big event. And so we went out that first day, and we did some canvassing. But after we handed out all morning, they said, well, this is the day that you get to have your excursion, your time away from us to try to go sightseeing. So we decided to go to North Cascades National Park. And it was great, except for Katie's accident that she explained in the video. But other than that, we had a great time. We hiked up the mountain. We saw some great views. And then the second day, we came and we were supposed to worship. We worshiped with them on Sunday morning. And for the second year in a row, they didn't have their regular worship leader, and they were looking for help. And so I'd sang with them last year, so they asked me to sing with them again this year. And then Susanna came and sang with me as well. But Anthony, the day before in the mountain, had decided at this one view that we should all just scream, "Oh!" Like as loud as we could off this cliff. And being stupid, I did what he's told. And I go up there and I'm like, and I killed my vocal cords. And so I'm up there trying to sing for these people, and I'm like, "Victory in Jesus." It was terrible, but they were like, "Oh, it's okay." But it was a little bit bad, but it was okay. Susanna sounded good, but after worship we worked on painting these platforms you can see in the picture. We were painting those. That were going to be set up during the 4th of July thing, and as well as setting up barriers so that they could set off the area that they were going to be shooting the fireworks for. So we did that on Sunday, and then on Monday, we did a bunch of wood cutting to help set up the parking lot because they were redoing the parking lot, and then we painted this fence that went around the whole property, and that took us the rest of that day. Then on the fourth day, we went for a quick canvassing trip that morning, and then we had lunch, and then it was time to go to the airport. So it was a quick trip, but we spent the time trying to help set them up for the 4th of July, which was unfortunate. If we'd known from the very beginning that we were going to be helping with the 4th of July, we would have shifted this trip so that we were there for the actual event. But we had to ask them how it went, and so I'm going to read you the response I got from Pastor Roy about when I asked how the event went. He said, "Hi, Pastor Steve. I hope you and your church family are doing well. I just wanted to send you a quick update and say thank you again for coming all the way from Denison to serve with us. Even though your team wasn't able to be here for our 4th of July outreach, your investment absolutely helped prepare the way for what God did that weekend. Your team painted our fence, helped get our property ready, and spent time canvassing the community, inviting people to join us. These efforts were not in vain. Last year, we had around 130 people attend our celebration. This year, we welcomed well over 350 people from across the Saget Valley. It was an incredible evening of fellowship, music, food, and fireworks. One of the greatest encouragement was seeing so many new faces. We estimate that about 25% of those who attended were first-time guests. Even more exciting, the following Sunday, I personally met around 17 people who had attended the event and came back to worship with us. That's exactly what we had been praying for, that our outreach would become a bridge to ongoing relationships and opportunities to share the gospel. The Lord continues to bless the ministry here. We're also encouraged that we're tracking well with baptisms this year, with about 40 people baptized so far. It's been a joy to watch lives continue to be transformed by Christ. I wanted you to know that your church has a real part in this. Thank you for your partnership, your willingness to serve, and your heart for advancing the gospel far beyond your own community. Please let your team know that their work mattered and that the seeds they helped plant are bearing fruit. We're grateful for your friendship and partnership in the kingdom. I hope our paths cross again soon, Pastor Roy." So I'm going to show the video now, and that's our mission report.
God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of green, for purple mountains, majesty